I never expected to die alone in my apartment. I never really thought about death much at all, to be honest. But if I had, I would have assumed it'd be something ordinary. A car crash on the freeway, metal twisting, glass shattering, sirens in the distance. Or maybe a heart attack, sudden and sharp, while I was watching TV or scrolling through my phone. If I was lucky, maybe I'd make it to old age, gray-haired and tired, slipping away peacefully in my sleep. But this was something else. It started with an emergency alert. Loud, jarring and unnatural. The kind of noise that hijacks your nervous system before your brain even catches up. My phone, sitting on the kitchen counter, buzzed so violently it nearly toppled over. The TV erupted with an ear-piercing siren. A sound so sharp and grating it made my teeth clench. Even my laptop screen, which had been sitting idle, suddenly flared to life, the brightness searing into my vision. Then, a robotic, flat, mechanical voice cut through the air like a knife, cold and hollow. Uncaring. Inhuman.
Emergency alert, extreme radiation levels detected. Do not go outside. Do not look at the flickering.
My body rigid, my breath caught in my throat. I stood there, staring at my phone screen, my stomach twisting into knots. What the hell? What radiation? From where? A power plant meltdown? Or a bomb? My thoughts scrambled for an explanation, but then I saw a warning at the bottom of the alert. My phone screen glowed in my shaking hand, with red, urgent text. Bright red. Bold and unmistakable.
If your skin begins tingling, it's already too late.
A slow, creeping dread slithered down my spine. My arms felt fine. My face, my chest, everything felt normal. But I couldn't stop myself from rubbing my hands together, feeling for something. Anything that wasn't right. The words still burned into my brain. The air around me suddenly felt thick, suffocating. I needed answers. I grabbed the remote and flipped through the news channels, searching for some kind of explanation. Every single one played the same broadcast. Anchors sat stiffly behind their desks, their faces pale, their voices hushed. They weren't panicked. Not outwardly. But the fear was there, just beneath the surface. It clung to their words, made their hands tremble slightly as they gripped their papers. But that wasn't what made my stomach lurch. It was the footage behind them. The screens behind them didn't show a reactor meltdown. There was no mushroom cloud. Not a bomb. Not fire, not smoke, not rubble. Nothing. There was only darkness. Just a void. An empty, gaping blackness spreading across the city, swallowing entire blocks whole. No flames, no destruction. Just absence. I felt sick. Something deep in my brain stirred. An old memory clawing its way to the surface. A feeling I hadn't experienced in years. But I knew this feeling. It was the same fear I had when I was 7 years old, huddled in my grandparents' basement during a tornado warning. The power had gone out, and my parents thought I was asleep upstairs. But I wasn't. I was in the dark, knees pulled to my chest, listening to the wind outside. Howling, screaming, alive. They said the storm was miles away. That there was no reason to be afraid. But in that blackness, that absolute silence between the gusts, I swore I heard something whispering in the walls. Back then, I had felt small. Helpless. Trapped. Like the world outside was too big, too powerful, too hungry. Like the world was about to swallow me whole. I felt that now. I was alone. And no one was coming to save me. The news feed cut to live footage of the city streets. The camera shook as the reporter ran, the image blurring as they struggled to keep focus. People were running, screaming. Their shadows flickered beneath the streetlights. Their movements jagged and unnatural, as if the very air around them was breaking apart. Then the camera locked onto something. A reporter gasped. Sprinting toward a man collapsed on the sidewalk. His body twitched once, twice, then went completely still, and my stomach turned to ice. It was Alan, my neighbor, my friend. Alan, who lived right across the hall. Alan, who always had a cold beer waiting on rough days. Who stayed up late watching awful movies with me, just so neither of us had to be alone, making fun of bad dialogue and cheesy special effects. Alan, who was the kind of person who never let silence hang too long. Who always had a sarcastic remark ready. Who made life feel just a little less empty. Alan, who laughed too loud at his own jokes and always left his door unlocked. Because in his words, what's the worst that could happen? But now, he was on his knees. His hands clawing at the pavement like he was trying to hold on to something invisible. Something slipping through his fingers. His head jerked violently, like a puppet with its strings tangled. And his breath, God, his breath, came in short, ragged gasps, as if he was drowning in open air. And his skin, it was wrong. Thick, black veins pulsed beneath the surface. Dark tendrils creeping and spreading like ink bleeding into water. They moved, shifting beneath his flesh, like something alive was crawling underneath. His eyes darted wildly, unfocused, like he was seeing something no one else could. Then, without warning, his entire body spasmed. I lurched forward, my hands gripping the edge of my desk so hard. My knuckles turned bone white. No, 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 no. Alan's body trembled, his muscles locking up, his frame flickering. Literally flickering, like a scrambled video feed. His entire form wavered, like he was caught between two different states of being. As if reality itself couldn't decide if he was supposed to be there or not. And then, he melted. Not like burning flesh, not like decay or rot. Like he was unraveling. His body collapsed inward, turning to liquid shadow. His features distorting as though he had never been solid to begin with. For the briefest moment, I swore I saw something. His shape stretching, twisting, reaching out toward me, as if trying to hold on to existence for just one more second. And then, nothing. He was gone. The only thing left was his scream, lingering in the air like an echo that refused to fade. I staggered back from the screen, my breath coming in sharp, uneven bursts. My pulse pounded against my skull so hard, I thought my head might split open. What the hell? A sharp buzzing sound ripped through the apartment, piercing and shrill, making my ears ring. My stomach flipped as my eyes snapped to my phone screen.
Do not go outside. Do not look at the flickering.
Wait. Flickering? Dread curled in my gut. Slow and cold. A sick realization creeping through my bones. I turned toward the window. My breath caught in my throat. Outside, the street lights flickered erratically, casting strange, shifting shadows that stretched and curled unnaturally across the pavement. The darkness between them seemed deeper than it should be, stretching unnaturally, bleeding into the edges of the buildings like ink soaking into paper. The glow from the bulbs warped and distorted, their light bending as if something unseen was pressing against the fabric of reality itself. And in that sick, stuttering glow, shapes moved. Not people. Not animals. Just outlines. Figures that shouldn't be there. Shifting and twisting, like something was bleeding through from somewhere else. A sudden movement made my breath hitch. Across the street, a man was pounding on a car window, his fists slamming against the glass. His mouth open in a scream I couldn't hear. His face was twisted in terror. His body trembling. But his skin looked normal. He wasn't melting. Not yet. I took a step toward my door, my hand hovering over the knob. And then, I stopped. A part of me wanted to help him. Another part of me remembered the warning.
If your skin begins tingling, it's already too late.
My stomach clenched. My feet felt like they were rooted to the floor. My body screamed at me to do something. To run outside. To pull him away from whatever was happening. To save him. But I didn't move. I stepped back. Outside, the man's screams rose to a deafening pitch. Raw and agonized. The kind of sound that twisted something deep in your gut. His body convulsed. His fingers bending at unnatural angles. As his arms jerked wildly, his entire frame flickered. Like bad reception. Like static trying to force itself into the shape of a person. And then, just like Alan, he was gone. Not dead. Not collapsed. Not fallen. Just erased. Only his scream remained, stretching thin. Unnaturally into the air, warping, fading, stretching again. As if the air itself refused to let it go. It echoed into the distance, fading, fading. Until there was nothing left. Until even the echo disappeared. A cold, clammy sweat broke across my skin. I gritted my teeth. My chest heaved as I forced my legs to move. To do something other than just stand there and watch. I slammed the door shut. Locked it. Then, shoved the couch against it for good measure. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely keep my grip. My breath came in quick, uneven bursts. My body still catching up to the reality of what I'd just seen. This wasn't normal. This wasn't just radiation. This was something else. Time passed in a blur, swallowed by a haze of fear after that. Minutes? Hours? I had no idea. The fear made it impossible to focus. My body was tense, stuck in fight or flight mode. But there was nothing to fight and nowhere to flee. The power flickered a few times, but held. The internet still worked, at least for now. I grabbed my phone, my fingers icy and numb, and started scrolling through social media, desperately searching for answers. For any sign that someone out there knew what the hell was happening. People were panicking. Some begged for help, their posts frantic, desperate. Dropping their addresses into the void of the internet. Like anyone could actually come to their rescue. Others posted shaky, low-quality videos of their loved ones disappearing. Just like Alan. Just like the man outside. Theories flooded in. Some claimed it was a radiation leak from a power plant no one had ever heard of. Others swore it was a nuclear accident. Some thought it was an attack. Chemical, biological, something beyond what the government would ever admit. And then, there were the other theories. The crazier ones. The ones that unsettled me the most. Some whispered about something supernatural, something ancient. Waking up, stretching, pushing its way through the cracks in reality. Something that wasn't supposed to exist. Then, one post caught my eye. A post that made my stomach twist into knots. It doesn't spread like radiation. It moves. It picks where to go. And it watches. I felt a slow, icy chill creep up my spine. It watches. Something about that phrasing made my skin crawl, like something unseen had just turned its gaze toward me. I didn't want to believe it. Then, I saw another post. Check your walls. Check your floors. If they flicker, don't look away. My throat went dry. I swallowed hard and slowly turned my head, scanning my apartment. Everything looked normal. The walls, the floor, the ceiling. But was it? The shadows in the corners felt deeper than before. The dim glow of my lamp felt off. I couldn't explain it, but something about the way the light landed on the walls felt unnatural. Like it wasn't hitting a solid surface, but something shifting beneath it. I rubbed my arms, trying to shake off the feeling. I needed to stay awake. Around midnight, the city fell into silence. No sirens. No screams. No running footsteps. Not even the distant hum of cars or the occasional barking of a stray dog. Just nothing. A hollow, unnatural stillness settled over everything, pressing down on my apartment like a thick, suffocating blanket. Like the world had stopped breathing. The kind of silence that wasn't empty, but waiting. And then, I heard them. At first, it was barely noticeable. A soft sound creeping into the edges of the room. A whisper, delicate and thin. Like the wind slipping through a crack in the window. But the windows were shut. This wasn't coming from outside. Not from the vents. No, not from the hallway. It was coming from the walls. My breath hitched. My body felt too heavy, too light. Like I wasn't fully inside it anymore. I stood frozen. Slowly. Carefully. Almost against my own will, I stepped forward and pressed my ear against the drywall. Barely breathing. My heartbeat hammering against my ribs. The voices were unclear at first, just murmurs. Shifting. Overlapping. Blending into one another like waves in the ocean. It didn't sound human. It didn't sound real. It was as if the walls themselves were thinking. Processing something just out of reach. And then, they changed. They spoke. Direct. Clear. Personal.
You should not be here.
I jerked back, my body stiff with shock.
You were supposed to leave.
My stomach twisted into knots, my breathing shallow. Then,
it's watching you.
It said again. My blood turned to ice. The voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It was calm. Certain. Like a fact being stated, like something inevitable. I stumbled away from the wall, my hands trembling. Every part of me wanted to rationalize it. To tell myself it was just my exhausted mind playing tricks. But I knew what I heard. And I had heard it before. That night in the basement when I was a kid. In the tornado warning. When the power went out. I remembered sitting there in the dark. Hearing the wind scream outside. Hearing whispers in the walls. I remembered hearing voices then too. I had convinced myself it was just the wind. That had been the wind, right? But this wasn't. This was real. And I wasn't alone. I stopped looking at the walls after that. I never pressed my ear against them again. No. Never. I spent the entire next day in the bathroom. The smallest, safest, most windowless space in my apartment. The only place where I could shut the door. Sit on the floor and pretend. Even for a moment, that none of this was happening. I sat there, knees pulled to my chest. My arms wrapped tightly around myself. My back against the bathtub. The only thing in front of me was the mirror. I should have looked elsewhere. My mistake. At first, my reflection looked normal. Just me. Exhausted. Hollow-eyed. Terrified. My eyes were bloodshot, my skin pale. My lips cracked from breathing too hard. My own face staring back, mirroring every flinch, every breath. Then, it smiled. I didn't. But the thing in the mirror did. A slow, deliberate grin. Its lips curled in a way that shouldn't have been possible. Stretching too wide. Its teeth too sharp, too wrong. I stopped breathing. My body felt paralyzed. Locked in place. As the thing wearing my face leaned forward. The smile never faltering. And then, in a voice that wasn't mine, it spoke.
Your skin is tingling.
Something inside me snapped. With a choked yell, I slammed my fist into the mirror. A crack split through the mirror like lightning. Then another. Then another. Glass shattered. The reflection broke apart into 1,000 fractured pieces, scattering across the floor. Pain shot through my hand, sharp and hot. Blood welled up, running down my wrist in thin, crimson lines, dripping onto the white tile. But I didn't care. I was too busy convincing myself. I wasn't tingling. I wasn't. I kept repeating it in my head. Over and over, like a prayer. I wasn't tingling. I wasn't. The emergency alerts stopped the next day. Not because the danger was over. Because there was no one left to send them. I don't know when it happened. Maybe overnight. Maybe in the early hours of the morning, while I sat curled up in my bathroom, too afraid to sleep. But when I woke up, if I even slept at all, the world was different. The city was dead. No more sirens. No more screams. No more desperate voices online. I checked my phone. The feed was still there, but it was empty. No new posts. No frantic updates. No theories, no prayers, no last-minute survival tips. Just silence. Like the world itself had decided to stop talking. I checked my arms. My legs. My face. No tingling. No black veins. No flickering. But something was wrong. I couldn't see it. Couldn't hear it. But the sensation was there. I could feel it, creeping along the edges of my awareness. Like something was standing just out of sight, just behind my shoulder, just waiting. Watching. A weight pressing down on my skin. An unblinking gaze from nowhere. That night, the whispers returned. Louder this time. They weren't in the walls anymore. They were in the room. I locked myself in the closet, pressing my hands over my ears so hard it hurt. I shut the door, curled into the corner, knees tight against my chest. My fingers dug into my skull, pressing, trying to block it out. It didn't help. The voices seeped through, slipping into my mind like smoke, whispering things. The voices were clearer now. Right next to me. They were breathing in my ear. Then, my phone buzzed. A single notification lit up the screen, casting a sickly glow over my shaking hands. My hands trembled as I pulled it out, my breath caught in my throat. The screen was cracked from when I dropped it earlier. But the words were clear.
Live news broadcast, final emergency alert.
I hesitated. The word made my stomach twist. Then, slowly, I opened the stream. The screen flickered, glitching, lines of static running across the feed. Then, a reporter appeared. Or at least, what used to be a reporter. His skin was peeling, his lips cracked. His eyes hollow pits of darkness. His voice crackled through the speakers, warped and uneven. Like a radio signal struggling to come through.
Final message to survivors.
I gripped my phone tighter, my heartbeat slamming against my ribs.
You cannot hide.
The closet suddenly felt smaller, suffocating.
You are already seen.
The screen flickered again. And for just a second, Before the feed cut out, I saw myself. Not in my apartment. Not holding my phone. But on the news. Staring back at myself through the screen. Smiling. Then, darkness. The power went out. The whispers stopped. I haven't checked my reflection since. I haven't looked at the walls. But I feel it now. The tingling. It starts in my fingers, crawling up my arms, slow and inevitable. Like something reaching inside, pulling me apart thread by thread. I know what comes next. I just hope, when it happens to me, I don't scream too loud.